Hare Krishna. We'll get started with the prayers.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanyamishwaram. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So we're going to start module 2. I hope your module 1 exam went well. I'm sure it must have been simple, and I hope everybody was able to complete it on time. And I hope no one ran into any issues. Everything was okay. All good, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And yeah, I think we should we will tell the assessment team to start assessing the marks for closed book and shlokas. Thank you all so much for attempting. And yeah, if you have any concerns, any doubts, always reach out to one of us or to our admin Mukta Mataji, and they will help you out. Okay, so we are moving on to module 2 now. I'm very happy that we are sticking to a decent pace and we are able to progress. So before we start chapter 10, we have finished 9 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Before we go into chapter 10, which is the departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka, I'll just give a quick overview of what has happened in the first canto. So the Srimad Bhagavatam began with 3 important verses, and these 3 important verses are often related to Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. After that, we saw that the sages had assembled in a place called as Naimisharanya, and they were performing a huge sacrifice, but there was no proper result from that sacrifice. Why they were performing that sacrifice? They were performing that sacrifice because they wanted to mitigate the ill effects of the age of Kali. However, all their efforts were gone in vain, and that is when, while they were waiting, they saw a great sage appear, and he was Suta Goswami. So they gave Suta Goswami the seat of honor, and they had 6 questions to ask him. What is the ultimate good for people in general? What is the essence of all scriptures? Why did Krishna take birth in the womb of Devaki? Tell us about the Purusha avatars. Tell us about the Leela avatars. And finally, where did Dharma take shelter of after the disappearance of Krishna? So when these 6 questions were asked in chapter 2, in chapter 1, in chapter 2, this great sage began to answer these sages who were headed by Shaunak Rishi. And in chapter 2 and 3, he gave answers to almost all the questions. He said that the essence of all scriptures and the ultimate good for people in general is devotional service, bhakti. He said why Devaki, in Devaki's womb, Krishna took birth. Krishna took birth for the sake of the upliftment of his devotees, for the sake of his pure devotees. Then he listed the different Purusha avatars, and especially in chapter 3, you can see the list of the Leela avatars, very famous chapter where we saw the Paribhasha Sutra of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ete Cham Sakala Pupsha. Many people were let down that this question was not there in the exam. We are extremely sorry about it. But somehow we thought you all would have given enough time and focus to this question and you would have relished Srila Prabhupada's purport. I know many of you were so enthusiastic and you wanted to write this answer in the exam and we didn't ask that question. So we apologize for the same. But since you have taken a lot of effort to read it and relish it, there was no need to ask that in an exam. Okay, I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I said this before. Some of them didn't attempt because of their personal reasons, but for them, we'll probably add the question. Okay, so that was third chapter. So we saw a little introduction to the Purusha avatars, and then we also saw about the Leela avatars. Then after we saw about the Leela avatars, the remaining question was about where did Dharma take shelter of at the disappearance of Sri Krishna, and that we see is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So like this, that third chapter ended and all the 6 questions were answered. So it appears Bhagavatam ended. But then the sages didn't keep quiet. They had 3 more questions. What were the 3 questions they asked? They first wanted to know about the history of this great Srimad Bhagavatam because they heard that Dharma had taken shelter in Srimad Bhagavatam. So they wanted to know the history. Oh, tell us about the history of this Bhagavatam. Under whose guidance it was written by Srila Vyasadeva, who inspired Vyasadeva to write the Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, so they asked questions about Srimad Bhagavatam. That was the first question. Secondly, they also asked about the glories of Parikshit Maharaj, who was the listener of Srimad Bhagavatam. How did Parikshit Maharaj take birth? How was his rule? How did he grow up? How was his rule? And finally, how did he get cursed? And what happened before the time of his death? So these were questions about Parikshit Maharaj. And thirdly, they asked questions about Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami is known to be a great sage. How come he came across a great king like Parikshit Maharaj, and how come he became the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam? How did the meeting between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj happen? So like this, they had 3 sets of questions. So for the first question, which was the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the answer is given in chapter 4, 5, and 6. In chapter 4, the appearance of Narada Muni is seen. How Narada Muni, he sees Vyasadeva is very despondent and he comes to inspire Vyasadeva. In chapter 5, we see Narada's specific instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva, and he also tells his own story, how this bhakti indeed should be glorified and Krishna's activity should be glorified. So to talk about it, he tells his own story and they have a beautiful conversation, and that is chapter 6. So basically, Narad Muni came and he inspired Vyasadeva to write the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Vyasadeva, taking guidance from Narad Muni, he meditates and he sees the Supreme Lord, his internal and external energy, and all that, and he revises the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So that we saw in 4, 5, and 6. So question 1 was answered. Now, question 2. What was question 2? Question 2 was about the life of Parikshit Maharaj. But before he talks about the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, he wanted to talk about what happened when Parikshit Maharaj was in the womb of Uttara. For that, he had to talk about what happened in the womb of Uttara. So he spoke about how the son of Drona, Ashwathama, released a Brahmastra. Initially, he killed the sleeping sons of Draupadi, And later, when Arjuna wanted to confront him, he ran away, and in response, he tried to release a Brahmastra that was counteracted. And then he again released an Apandavastra, that is especially towards the womb of Uttara, so that the last trace of the Pandavas can be removed. That was his intention. But then what happened? Of course, the child was saved. So, when after the child was saved, Kunti Maharani, Uttara, all of them, they were feeling very grateful. When Krishna was about to depart, Kunti Maharani stops Krishna and she offers the famous Kunti Stuti that you all have put in a lot of effort and answered questions and gone through these prayers of Kunti Maharani. So after Kunti Maharani offered prayers, the Lord accepted the prayers. He smiled and he wanted to depart. But then Yudhishthir Maharaj became very sad. He went on a guilt ride. Always his tendency. You will see in first canto, in another place also, he'll start blaming himself for everything. So he started telling that whatever happened, this Kuru war, this great Mahabharat war, was all because of me. Because of me, so many people, they have lost their husbands and sons and whatnot. So Krishna tried to pacify him, but he was not getting pacified. So that is when Krishna decided that he should go and hear the advice from Bhishma Dev. And moreover, Bhishma Dev was the grandsire. And in that generation, so much knowledge was there. Just like even now, I remember the days when I used to sit and hear from my grandfather. I would go to their house in summer vacation, and the kind of knowledge that they passed down, it's not even there today, right? So those stories and those experiences, you just have to hear from them, that's all. And they have so much wisdom, the older generation. So it is very important for the older generation to pass down the knowledge. And that opportunity was given to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, he went and he heard from Bhishma Dev about so many different topics. And then it was time for the passing away of Bhishma Dev, and that is when Bhishma Dev passes away in the presence of Lord Sri Krishna, which is chapter 9. So Bhishma Dev enters Parthasarathi Loka, he attains perfection. So now it was time for Krishna to move on. Okay, Krishna was stopped multiple times. So now let's see if Krishna is really going to leave for Dwaraka from Hastinapur. So that is going to be chapter 10. That's where we are, and we'll start today. Departure of Lord Sri Krishna for Dwaraka. This is the chapter. Shaunaka Uvacha Hatva Swarikta Spridovat Yudhishthiro Dharma Bhratam Varishtaha Saha Anujai Pratyavarutha Bhojana Katam Pravritta Kimaka Akharashitata. Can someone please help with the translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji Dhanurpram.
Sure.
I complete.
Yes, please.
Shaunaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthir, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So all this while, so many people try to pacify him, right? Including Bhishma Dev. Yes, he was somewhat pacified, but then this is a very pertinent question. Shaunak Muni is hearing very carefully what Sudha Goswami was telling him. And he tells, okay, our hero, Yudhishthir Maharaj, all the enemies were killed. These people, they were trying to take away his rightful uh, inheritance. They were all Atatayinaha. You all know what is Atatai. So in Bhagavad Gita also Srila Prabhupada has mentioned about the aggressors. So they were aggressors. They were trying to take away his inheritance. And he was the senior most person and he deserved it to take the inheritance. So how come this Dharma Pritham, a person who follows very strict regulative principles, this Dharma, the son of Dharma himself, right, Maharaj Yudhishthir, assisted by his brothers, Anujai. Sahanujay, all his brothers. How did he rule his subjects after taking advice from Krishna and after taking advice from Bhishma Dev? Of course, that scar in his heart should have still been there. Surely he couldn't have enjoyed his kingdom very nicely. Why he couldn't have enjoyed his kingdom very nicely? Any thoughts? Anybody would like to say?
Mataji, because he was very religious and he did not win the war just to enjoy. His reason
Yes.
was dharma.
Dharma, very nice. Yes, Mataji, that's true. And
Maybe he thought
also,
that just for him being a king, so many people have to lose their lives. He
yes,
was sad
very
about that.
That's true, Prabhu. Yes, he was sad. And he was dharmagnya. He didn't feel happy. And very similar to Arjun's reasoning in Bhagavad Gita, he says, what is the use of me acquiring the kingdom if my own kith and kin is killed? Who am I going to share my enjoyment with? So that's what Prabhupada highlights and also Chakravarti Pad highlights. So they say he fought therefore for the right cause under the guidance of Lord Krishna, but he could not enjoy the results of his victory because his cousins were all killed in the fight. He therefore ruled over the kingdom as a matter of duty, assisted by his younger brothers. So this was the mood of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yes, he was dharmagnya. He felt very bad because of him. So much had happened. And moreover, he felt all his relatives, they're all gone. What is this enjoyment for? So he was a man of great religion. Initially, he was not really inclined to fight with his cousins. He didn't want to enjoy the kingdom, but he wanted to take the kingdom under Krishna's guidance for the sake of protecting Dharma. That was his intention. So this enquiry is important by Shaunak Rishi because he wanted to know the behavior of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Did he enjoy the kingdom? I know he wouldn't have enjoyed so much. He would have just done it as a matter of duty. So this is what Shaunaka is trying to clarify with Sutta Goswami. So let's see what Sutta says. Sutta Uvacha. Vamsham kurorvamsham davagninirhitam samrohitva bhavabhavano hari niveshayitva nijarajya ishvaro yudhishtiram pritamana bhabhuvaha. Anyone would like to read translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sutta Goswami said, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after establishing Maharaj Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring the Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger.
Very well. So, bamboo fire of anger. What is this bamboo fire of anger? So, you all know how a forest fire is created, right? It's not that a forest fire is created by an external force. By the friction of the trees itself, a huge forest fire can be created. Similarly, this entire Kuru dynasty was actually wiped out because of the bamboo fire of anger. They were the reason for their own destruction. So they were the cause for the dynasty's destruction. Who? The greed, the adharma followed by the Kauravas. All this was the result of the Vamsha Dhavagni. So Dhavagni means a forest fire, but it had actually destroyed the entire Vamsha of the Kurus. So the entire Kuru Vamsha Dhavagni, the entire dynasty of the Kurus got destroyed simply because of themselves. And here it's interesting how, word to word meaning, if you see, Bhava Bhavanaha, the maintainer of the creation, Hari. Hari is the maintainer of the entire creation. So Hari, who is the maintainer of the entire world, he became very pleased that Yudhishthir Maharaj sat on the throne and the Kuru dynasty got exhausted by the forest fire of anger. It was also one of the reasons of his descent, right? He wanted to ensure that the pious are protected and the miscreants are annihilated. He wanted to reduce the burden of the earth. Now, Chakravarti Pad, he says, Bhava Bhavana Hari, he means there is another meaning. It is Bhava. Bhava is Shiva. Shiva's Bhavanaha. He is always lovingly thinking and meditating of Sri Hari. That Hari whom Shiva lovingly thinks of and meditates, that Hari, under his guidance, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he ruled his kingdom. That is a very beautiful bhavartha for this particular verse. So let's see what Prabhupada has to say in the purport. So Prabhupada says, this world itself is a forest fire. Samsara dhava navinida loka. We sing that every day morning. So this entire samsara is a forest fire. And it is caused, how is the forest fire caused? A forest fire is generally caused by the cohesion of bamboo bushes. And such a forest fire takes place automatically without an external cause. Similarly, in this material world, there is an automatic forest fire. Why is there an automatic forest fire? Because of the wrath of the people who want to lord it over. Because we want to lord it over, there is a forest fire. And when the fire of war takes place under the guidance of the Lord, what happens? There is a destruction of this unwanted population. So actually, the Lord doesn't want anything to do with this material world, but our greed, the way we want to lord over this material world, that itself has created a huge fire that is destroying everything. The Lord, He wants the suffering of the human beings to stop, and He wants all of us to go back to the material, leave the material world and go back to the spiritual world. He doesn't want us to be suffering in this terrible world. Therefore, from time to time, the Lord sends a bona fide representative so that He can retrieve these living entities who are suffering within this forest fire. Actually, the battlefield of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of the Lord. And why did the Lord do this plan? So that undesirable people could actually be removed from this world. So that was the reason why He actually directed the entire war. The Lord is very satisfied when King Yudhishthir was sitting on the throne after he had removed all these unnecessary elements from this world. Okay, so this is about how Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was very, very pleased that Yudhishthir Maharaj, who's Dharmatma, he was able to sit on the throne and the unwanted elements were removed, just like how a bamboo fire can extinguish everything. We'll continue.
Hare Krishna Mataji, one clarification, Mataji. I think this is one of the slogans where Bhava Bhavano Hari, that term Hari itself has been emphasized by the author Vyasadeva. Otherwise, in most of the slokas, this is not specified. Is one of the is that one of the correct thing, Mataji? That they say that in Bhagavatam the name Hari or Krishna is not mentioned. Mostly, it's in only one or two slokas. Is this one of the slokas that has been mentioned, Mataji?
Oh, Bhagavatam, everywhere Krishna, Hari, all this is mentioned. Hundreds of verses, Mataji.
Probably emphasis is given by Sutta Goswami. Is it no? It's not this sloka, Mataji. Perhaps I'm a little confused.
Oh, it's there. Like, for example, the next verse has Achyuta. Krishna's names, various names are there almost in every shloka of Bhagavatam. Yeah. That Krishna is Hari, Krishna is Achyuta, Krishna is Narayana. Adi Narayana, we saw again, Bhishma Stuti, we saw that. So it's there everywhere.
Okay, Mataji. Direct. Okay. No, there. I'll ask a little later. Perhaps I'm a little confused. Sorry, Mataji.
Okay, sure. I think maybe in Bhagavad Gita there is this famous argument, not famous, notorious argument that Krishna, it's not directly mentioned Krishna anywhere, but then we also find in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna's name is mentioned directly. In the universal form chapter, there also, hey Krishna, hey go, he calls out, Arjun calls out, hey, you are I called you as my friend unknowingly and all that. He calls out, hey Krishna.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
Perhaps along with the Radhe, the name is not mentioned. The two that concept is there.
Anaya Radhithononam, that verse is indirectly there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mataji.
Yeah. निशम्य भीष्मोक्तमताच्युतोक्तं प्रवृत्तविज्ञानविधूतविभ्रम शशासघम्रिन्द्र इवाजिताश्रय परिद्युपातनम् अनुजानुवर्तितै. Anyone for the translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Maharaj Yudhishthir, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Dev and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge, because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
So basically, Yudhishthir Maharaj was really enlightened. Okay, he was enlightened by whatever Bhishma Dev and Lord Krishna told him, and all his misgivings were eradicated. Vibhrama, his misgivings. What was his misgiving? It's interesting how the purport also is there, and Chakravarti Path also mentions the real misgiving is to think that I am the controller. It's all because of me. So everything is happening because of me. That is the biggest misgiving that we have in this world. We take ownership, we take controller. If something wrong, oh, it's all because of me. This happened because of me. I am responsible. I have to take care. Without me, nothing will function. So that is the greatest misgiving of this world. So by the perfect knowledge given by Sri Krishna, his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brother. Now, if you see word to word, this is also interesting. Where is that? Ajitashraya. See, we see Indra. The word Indra is there. So here, Shashasa, Gam, the earth, Indra, the king of the heavenly planet, Iva Ajitashraya, protected by the invincible Lord. Thus he ruled. Maharaj Yudhishthir, after being enlightened by what Bhishma Dev and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge, and because his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas, followed by his younger brothers. That's all the translation says. But then if you go to the word-to-word meaning, you will find Indra Eva Ajitashraya. So he ruled like Indra. That is what it means. That this translation should mean that Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling like Indra, who had taken shelter of Ajita. So again, Ajita here, there specifically in this particular verse, refers to Vamanadev, who's the brother of Indra. So taking shelter of Vamandev, taking shelter of Upendra, Indra rules very nicely. How is Indra getting the capability to rule over the heavenly planet? Just because he's under the shelter of Upendra, who's Ajita. Similarly, our Yudhishthir Maharaj also, he also ruled like Indra. How did he rule? Where did he rule like Indra? He ruled Gam. He ruled this world, this Bhumi, just like Indra, taking shelter of the same Ajita who is not different from Krishna. So taking shelter of Krishna and Krishna's instructions, our Yudhishthir Maharaj was able to rule with his misgivings eradicated. So here we see what Prabhupada has to say. Prabhupada says, the modern English law of primogeniture or the law of inheritance by the firstborn was also prevalent in those days. So the firstborn actually inherits the major part of the kingdom. That has been there. That tradition has been there, and it was followed in those days as well. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, he becomes the emperor to rule over the earth and seas. And he was the emperor of the entire world. And Maharaj Parikshit, who later was the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, he later takes this world and he also ruled the world. Now, both Maharaj Yudhishthir and Parikshit, they were great representatives of Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, they were able to rule the kingdom as good as Indra, who is the representative of the heavenly planets. So how is Indra able to rule? Because he is ruling under the guidance of Upendra, who's Vamana, who's Ajita. Similarly, Our Yudhishthir Maharaj or be it Parikshit Maharaj, they were able to rule this kingdom. Be it, it's there Indra is ruling the heaven. Here Yudhishthir is ruling the earth. How? Because they were under the guidance of Sri Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada says that a political leader of modern democracy is not an enlightened person. That's why modern democracy fails. They are not able to rule just like Yudhishthir Maharaj or Parikshit Maharaj. Moreover, Yudhishthir was also instructed by Bhishma Dev, who was a great personality. He was a Mahajan. And not only that, Achyutokta. Here it says two people spoke to him. Bhishmoktam, Achyutoktam. Both of them spoke. Of Nishamya, Bhishmoktam, Achyutoktam. He heard from the words of both Bhishma as well as Achyuta. Now he was instructed by two great personalities. He was under the guidance of Sri Krishna. He was a devotee of Krishna. So, what better kingdom can be there when Yudhishthir is actually ruling? Who can be a better king? And Prabhupada says Maharaj Yudhishthir was enlightened and he did not do anything for his own personal good all the time. He did it for the sake of everybody. And there was no quarreling for selfish motives. And Maharaj Yudhishthir didn't have an ideology of his own. He just simply followed the instructions of the Lord and the Lord's representative, who was Bhishma Dev. He just followed what was enjoined in the Shastras without any personal motive or manufacturing any new ideology. So this is how Maharaj Yudhishthir ruled over the whole world, including the land and the seas. And if we also find some leader who can follow like this, then the entire world will be perfect. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. It is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. So the person should, if the person is perfect, then the government is perfect. If a person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. There are so many stories of imperfect kings or executive heads. Therefore, an executive head must be trained, just like how Yudhishthir Maharaj was trained, and he must have the power to rule over the world. So, like this, when a king is a devotee, when he's taking instructions of the Lord as compiled in the Shastras, as guided by great personalities, great Mahajans like Bhishma Dev, such a person will be a great ruler. So we should understand the person who rules is actually the government. It is not something that is impersonal. So if he's trained well, then the entire kingdom can be benefited. A very nice purport by Srila Prabhupada about politics, how a king should be. Next. 110.4. Yes, Saudamani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanwad. Mataji, I had one doubt about this translation where about his misgivings, of Yudhishthir Maharaj is mentioned. So Mataji, what exactly is his misgivings? How he is feeling that he is the controller? That I was not understanding.
He was lamenting, right? It all happened because of me. It was very difficult to convince him that he is the cause of this entire death of all the people in the war. He was feeling very guilty. He had so many misgivings about himself. That had to be eradicated. Sometimes ego can flare up in a in the name of so many good qualities also. Sometimes we act like as if we have a lot of compassion. We feel that, oh, we are responsible for this. It's all my fault. It may appear like a great virtue, but it is not a virtue. It is actually putting yourself in the center. It is actually a misgiving. You are thinking you are the one who's controlling everything. It's all because of me. Like that. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu, please add.
Yes, Mata. I just was giving some references. This same point, Prabhupada Maharaj often emphasizes 3.27, Prakrutehi kriyamanani, gunehi karmani. So that misgiving Yudhishthir Maharaj had, that I am the one who was, kind of responsible and all that. So that pertains that. And another thing is Indra. is protected by Lord Krishna. Indrari Vyakulam Loke Mruyanti. So that's another one. And the third one was that Maharaj, Bhismadev was always following Mahajan. Mahajana Yen, Tarko Pratishta Sruta Vidvindam, Nacha Ruchiryas Matam Navindam. So these three inferences I just put down in my notes like that. I just wanted to thank you.
Haribol. Thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful, beautiful verses. And this problem continues with Yudhishthir Maharaj. Later also, when Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they leave home, he again goes on a guilt trip. He starts blaming himself, and Narada has to literally come and tell him, stop. Don't do this. Don't keep blaming yourself. What is this? Come out of this controllership. Okay. So actually it's all there in us also. Sometimes, especially why Yudhishthira Maharaj was feeling that, he was feeling, I am taking care of the old people. It is my responsibility. Yes, it is your responsibility, but our consciousness should not be I-centric. Okay, we should understand that the Krishna is providing for the entire world. Krishna is giving food for everybody. Krishna is taking care of every living entity. Because of me, someone is not surviving. So that attitude we all develop, it's natural, like a parent develops it naturally, right? A young person develops it naturally when he's taking care of older people. It is all fine, and it is your duty also. It is the duty of the parent, it is the duty of the son, it is the duty of everybody to take care of others. We're not saying that you should not take care of your duties or not take care of people. That's not the point. But don't consider oneself so important and you become so I-centric rather than being Krishna-centric. Yes, Indulekha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I don't know if this is an okay point to ask questions. Otherwise, I can wait till the end.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick question there. We say that, okay, over here, Yudhishthir Maharaj taking the blame on himself makes him look like he is, constantly very self-centered. Even though, it's for, something bad that he's blaming himself. I was just wondering then, what should he have done? Because someone has to take the blame, right? It is such a big war, lot of bloodshed.
Yes,
A
please
lot
take
of people
blame.
like,
Correct. He should take, yes, that's right. He should take blame, but then it should not become, what do you say, like a habit, right? It should not drain you out. Some people we like to, I've seen this a lot. Sometimes we like to, people get depressed, they are always negative, always, oh, my life is like this, my life is like this, I am like this, I am like this. So don't get engulfed by it. Yes, acknowledge it, but don't get engulfed in that.
Okay.
Yeah, every time you speak to the person, it's all about my problem, my problem, my problem. People who talk a lot about their problems are the most self-centered people. People who have depression issues, I'm praying for them, but it is a good habit to come out of that I-centric consciousness. Right? Yes, we feel bad. Yes, there are days when we are very low. We have gone through all sorts of nonsense in life. Yes, that's all true. But it should not be all about myself. Right? We have to come out of it. Now, we are not pointing fingers at Yudhishthir Maharaj. I just said what Chakravarti Pad wrote in the purport. That's all. We are not pointing fingers at him and telling that he was depressed or something. These are all learning lessons for us. Okay.
Sure, Mataji. I thank you for clarifying that, because that is the difference between him taking ownership for something, because that is something we see lacking in today's world.
Lacking, yes.
Yeah, nobody wants to take the blame. Nobody wants to take ownership when something goes wrong. So it's okay that he's taking the ownership, but don't just constantly be, lingering on that itself and be bothered by it. Thank you for clarifying that. So clear. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. And, taking ownership, you brought up a very good point. A leader should take up ownership for the mistakes even done by others. Actually, that is true leadership, right? So when there is a lot of mistake done by our people who are followers, the leader should come forward and take responsibility and take the blame. That is what is true leadership. That's what we say. I don't know if we can implement it every time, but at least we can tell ourselves to implement it someday. it is very important to take responsibility, to take blame. But again, not brood over it because then your time is going, you're getting consumed by it. It's very similar to lamenting, right? Yes, you feel bad, you are affected by it, but don't keep lamenting so much so that your entire life is drained out just by that. Like that. Okay. Yes, Adamni Mataji. Thanks,
Hare
Indra.
Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji, so I'm trying to draw a lesson for myself. Like, if I do a mistake, so I will repent for it, but not be completely absorbed and drain myself out. Is it the lesson, Mataji?
Yes, definitely. That is the lesson. Yes.
So I should try to jump to the solution, how to rectify myself. Is it the
Yeah.
lesson?
Yes.
Thank you so
Rectify
much, Mataji.
ourselves and take the next action. Yeah, just go on. It's okay. Take the next action.
Being
Yes, we are.
absorbed in my thinking is also a type of self-centric behavior, no, Mataji?
Yes.
Always thinking of my what I have done. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, Mataji. Anyone, somebody else also raised hand. What's that? Ajay Govind Prabhu, please add.
I'm not adding Mataji, I'm adding to the problem. How do we take this attitude of taking blame in the corporate world?
In a leadership position.
Yeah, I mean, in the office, you're working, something goes wrong. Is it good
Yeah,
to
we
come?
have to take, as a leader, you might have to take blame and then resolve the issue. Of course, you have the right to correct the people who are under you and tell them that this was the issue. But in front of the client, what do? You take blame, right? We don't put blame saying that, oh, that developer did it, it's his fault. We can't do that. We take blame as the leader that it was our team that did it. You're Prabhu, I should not tell you this, Prabhu. You should be teaching me all these things. But you are, of course, a leader in your group, and when you face a client and there is some mistake that is gone by the developer or somebody, or maybe the QA, as a Scrum Master, you are the one who goes and faces the client and you say, okay, it was our fault, we'll fix it. But privately, you are going to tell that person that it was a fault and fix it. And then again, you're the face in front of the client. And then you go and apologize and then rectify it. So you're taking ownership. That's what we're talking about, bro.
Sure. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, very well. Thank you, bro. You are the one who has taught me all this, Prabhu. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay. This one, fourth one, right? Mhm. कामं ववर्ष पर्जन्य सर्वकामधुक्तमहि शिशीचु स्म वर्जान् घावः पयसोद्धव सवतीर्मुदा. Anyone for translation, please?
I can go ahead.
Yes,
During
bro.
the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of men in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag, the cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk.
Very well. So this appears that everything was very prosperous during the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj. When the king is very just and he's very dharmic, the land is very prosperous. We see that clouds showered water as the people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities that was required, and the cows were cheerful and happy, and there was a profuse supply of milk. That means it's a very happy kingdom. All the food grains are available from time to time. Earth is not hiding what she has to give. Remember the pastime of Vena, which we will of course see in future. Earth was hiding. She was not ready to give all her stocked up wealth. She was hiding from the world. But later Prithu Maharaj churned her and she was able to provide the world. So, but here in the case of Yudhishthir Maharaj, everything was profusely available. Everybody was happy. Bhumi was very happy. The cows were very happy. And the demigods were also happy because they were showering rain from time to time. And Prabhupada very nicely mentions in the purport that if you just have land, a piece of land and a cow, you can run a life. So he says the basic principle of economic development is centered on land and cows. agriculture and cow protection, the job of the Vaishyas. If that is there, everything is enough, everything is available. So the necessities of human society are food, grains, fruits, milk, mineral, clothing, wood, etc. All this can be obtained if you have cows and a piece of land where you can do some agriculture. So one requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. This is enough. That's what Prabhupada is telling. Simple living, high thinking. We do not require the flesh of animals, or we don't need fish, or we don't need iron tools and machinery. Simple living, high thinking. We have seen so many farm communities. They have land, they have cows, and they are able to run their lives. So during the regime of Maharaj Yudhishthir, there was regulated rainfalls also. Now, rainfalls are not controlled by human beings. He says the heavenly king Indradev is actually the controller of rains. And when the Lord is obeyed and the king is ruling very, very nicely, things are regulated in this world, automatically the demigods are also pleased and there is proper rains on the land. And when there is proper rains and everything is going fine, there is a cool information Prabhupada provides here, which we will analyze. He says, not only do regulated rains help ample production of grains and fruits, but when they combine with astronomical influences, there is ample production of valuable stones and pearls. This is interesting. During the Swati Nakshatra, astronomical thing, astronomical combination, influence, when it rains, the rain should come from the sky, the clouds should pour rains, and the rain should fall in the sea, during a Swati Nakshatra, and the oyster should be able to capture the droplet. At that time, a pearl is produced. A pearl is not simply, that is, we're talking about seawater pearls. We are not talking about cultured pearls that is done in the laboratory. We're not talking about that. Natural pearls we're talking about. Natural pearls are formed during a Swati Nakshatra only. It is not formed on any other day. And when that oyster traps that rainwater, that is when the pearl is formed according to Shastra. Okay, so that's why Prabhupada says when rain is combined with astronomical influences, there is ample production of valuable stones and pearls. Interesting, right? So basically, if there is a land, if there is cow, and if everybody is dharmic, then rains are also there. There is good crops. Cows are happy. There is enough supply of milk, and all of us can be fed very, very nicely. So he says grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and and animals. Man and animals, everybody can be satisfied. And the milk bag of the cow will always be full, and we can be provided with enough milk products like paneer butter masala and everything. All of this is available just if there is enough milk, if the cows are happy. So he says if there is enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, and enough jewels, why do the people need cinema houses, houses of prostitution, slaughterhouses, and so on? These artificial luxuries like cinemas, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels, all this is just a mark of this modern civilization, and it has not been produced by nature. It is all artificial production. And because of this, what is happening? There is more and more hellish condition. There is more and more fights. There is no equality. There's no fraternity in this world. So this is what is happening. There's more and more wars because of this unwanted artificial needs that we have created by ourselves. So we don't have to kill cows for our own selfish purposes. We have to be satisfied. There's no need to kill innocent animals and so on. So this is what Prabhupada speaks about simple living, high thinking in this particular verse. So he especially asks about treating cows nicely. He says, The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Here he says about Maharaj Parikshit. He says Maharaj Parikshit, who was the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, while touring his vast kingdom, he saw a black man, Kali, who was trying to kill a cow. And the king at once he went and arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not a king or an executive head protect the lives of poor animals who are able to defend themselves? Is this humanity? Are not the animals of a country also the citizens of the country? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in slaughterhouses? These are not signs of equality or fraternity or nonviolence. So basically, everybody should be considered a citizen, not only the human beings. Even the animals should be considered the citizens of a country, and they should all be given equal rights. So like this, Maharaj Yudhishthir's democracy was top class. Though he was an autocrat, still he was giving equal rights to all the citizens. But the so-called democracy of this world, what is it? It is, we are just casting votes for all sorts of rogues. That is what we are doing. So we are all in this material world, and in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has said that he is the seed-giving father, and Mother Nature, Prakriti, she is giving these bodies of different shapes. This material nature has enough foodstuffs for everybody, by the grace of the Father who is Sri Krishna. So we are human beings. We are like elder brothers and sisters for all the other animals. So we should be very compassionate to all animals. And there is no point just increasing our artificial economic development. Rather, with whatever is simply produced by Mother Nature, we should be happy and satisfied. So this is what Prabhupada tells us. I don't know. I mean, you might all ask, how practical is this? Can we really be doing simple living, high thinking all the time? But definitely, at least we can encourage this process, okay, and understand that just by advancement nothing is achieved. Yes, advancement is needed, but then just by saying advancement, we should not knowingly make gross mistakes like opening slaughterhouses, killing animals, and doing this. Okay, so that was the purport. And of course, you can read more about what Prabhupada says in this purport at your ease. We'll move on to text 5. So what are we looking at? We're looking at how Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled, how everything was very happy. Everybody was happy. The human beings were happy, the animals were happy, everything was excellent. And there was a lot of milk, there was a lot of grains because of lot of rains. And then what else? He says in the next verse, Nadya Samudra Girayaha Savanasपति Virudaha Phalanti Ashadhyah Sarvaha Kamam Anvritu Tasya Vai. Anyone wants to read translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. The rivers, ocean, hills, mountains, forest, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion. Hare Krishna.
So, Haribol, everybody paid their tax, not only human beings, even the creepers, the active drugs in every season, the mountains, the forests, the oceans, the hills, everybody was paying their tax, means they were producing what was required as and when needed. It was not like the earth was hiding anything, or something was not available during the time of Maharaj Yudhishthir's reign. Why? He says because Maharaj Yudhishthir was under the protection of Ajita. What is the meaning of Ajita? One who's infallible. Actually, Ajita means one who cannot be won over by anybody. That is Ajita. But here he calls him the infallible Lord, the perfect Lord. So because Yudhishthir Maharaj was under the guidance of the perfect Lord, Ajita, so all the rivers, oceans, hills, forests, they were all very pleased. So they were ready to pay their respective taxes to the king. So what is the secret to success? Prabhupada says secret to success, if you want everything perfect in the kingdom, just take refuge under the supreme protection of the Lord. Because without his sanction, nothing is possible. So if we want to make economic development by our own endeavors, it is going to be very difficult. But then if you have the sanction of the Supreme Lord, then everything will become perfect. So the ultimate cause of success is not us. Ultimate cause of success is Daiva, who's the Supreme Lord. Yes, we have to put the efforts, but who is the ultimate cause of success? It is the Supreme. So all these great kings like Yudhishthir Maharaj, they knew the perfect formula. So they took shelter under the Supreme Lord. They understood that the country belongs to the Supreme Lord and everything is the creation of the Supreme Lord. So they were just using the same creation of the Supreme Lord in the service of the Supreme Lord. So he says today's slogan is that everything is for the people and therefore the government is for the people and by the people. This is the slogan of today. But is it really, is the government really working like that? The government is not truly working like that. And Prabhupada challenges, he says, if you want to produce a new species of humanity at the present moment on the basis of, but to produce a new species of humanity at the present moment on the basis of God consciousness is actually the perfection of human life. So if at all we want to produce something great, then we should produce a new species of devotees. That's what Prabhupada is telling. The king should be a devotee and the people, all the subjects should also become devotees. That Maharaj Parikshit and Maharaj Yudhishthir did. So if we all can follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit and Yudhishthir Maharaj, then we can create a new species of devotees who are ready to follow in the footsteps of the Lord. And he says there is enough of everything given by material nature and by the Supreme Lord in this world. And the river will flow very nicely to fertilize the land. The ocean produces enough quantities of minerals, pearls, and jewels. The forest will provide sufficient wood, drugs, and vegetables. The seasonal changes will produce fruits and flowers in profuse quantity. All this is possible if the king is just and if the subjects are following under the orders of the Supreme Lord. If everything is perfect under Krishna's control, then all will be possible in this world. So this artificial way of just depending on tools is not going to give you ultimate happiness. First and foremost thing, we should all be educated properly under the guidance of the Lord, and that is when we can truly have happiness within the country. So Prabhupada says we must look into the defects of modern civilization by comparing here. Just see how Yudhishthir Maharaj's rule was. So in comparison, we should be able to understand how beautiful the land was, how nicely nature was giving everything. So we should make a proper comparison between the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj and what is happening today, and all the leaders should aspire to follow in the footsteps of Yudhishthir Maharaj, and that way everybody can be cleansed. So this was a very nice rule with under you. Same thing we will read under Parikshit Maharaj's rule also. It was very similar to this. So in the forthcoming chapters, when we read the rule of Parikshit Maharaj, we'll see similar things. He continues. Nadhyo vyadyah klesha deva bhutatmahetavah ajata shatru abhavan jatunam rajani karhichit Ragni Karhichit, sorry. Anyone knows who Ajatashatru is?
Yudhishthira Maharaj, who has no enemies.
Yeah, Yudhishthira Maharaj is called as Ajatashatru. That means a person who has no enemies. He was such a great Dharmatma. So he's called as Ajatashatru, a person whom nobody liked to keep enmity with. There are some people, naturally, you don't want to be their enemy. You find them too good, right? So this is how Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule was. So because of the kings having no enmity, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, excessive heat, or cold. So everything was perfect in his rule. Land was giving everything, that is great. And also extremities in seasons were also not there. It was not extremely hot or extremely cold. Sometimes droughts and all these are not signs of good governance. The king is generally blamed when there are extreme rains or extreme heat, extreme cold for all of this. There were no diseases. People were not disturbed by mental agonies. In fact, in Ramayana also we read the story of how once there was a man who came with his dead son, and even in Bhagavatam we read a similar story. How this Brahmin, his child, every time he gives birth, his wife gives birth to a child, the child would die. And then finally he went and started blaming Krishna, saying that it is your kingdom. There is something wrong with the ruler. That's why this is happening. Similarly, in Ramayana also, there is this person who lost his son, and he picked up his son and he went and started blaming Ram, saying it is because of you. You are the ruler. How come in your kingdom such a wrong thing is happening? The child is dying before the father. So like this, no untimely death was seen. Nobody was disturbed by mental agonies. There were no diseases. There was no excessive heat or cold. These are all signs of good kingdom. Of course, in case of the Bhagavatam story and the Ramayana story, later we see what really happened and how it was fixed. Okay. So let's see Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada says, to be non-violent to human beings and to be a killer or enemy of the poor animal is Satan's philosophy. In this age, there is enmity towards poor animals, and therefore poor creatures are always anxious. So sad, so many slaughterhouses, so many animals, irrationally, they are bred and they are taken to slaughterhouses and they are killed. They are just bred for the sake of food. All the cows, the chicken, whatever you see around you, all these helpless animals. But then they have cats and dogs and they celebrate cats and dogs. For them, that is okay. That is not food. But the rest of the animals, these helpless animals, they are all food for them. And they talk about taking care of animals. So much hypocrisy. So this is the nature of a very demoniac society. But then during Yudhishthira Maharaja's time, everybody was united. Everybody was united, and everybody, Yudhishthira Maharaj, considered all of them equally as a subjects, whether this person was an animal or a human being or whoever it was all considered equally by Yudhishthira Maharaj. He talks about a Bengali proverb. Prabhupada says, there is a Bengali proverb that says, a bad king spoils the kingdom and a bad housewife spoils the family. So this truth is applicable here also. Because the king was pious and he was obedient to the Lord and the sages, and he was nobody's enemy. He was Ajata Shatru. He was also an agent of the Lord. He was Haridas, right? There are three Haridasas mentioned in Bhagavatam. One is Uddhava, and the other is Yudhishthir Maharaj, and the third one is Haridasvarya Govardhan. So he was a great devotee of the Lord. He was an agent of the Lord. Because he was recognized as an agent of the Lord protected him, and under the king's protection, everybody was well taken care of. So this is the sign of a pious governance by Yudhishthir Maharaj. There was full cooperation between man and God, man and nature, and there was a conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, and this was exemplified by Yudhishthir Maharaj. And therefore, peace and prosperity was brought out. As long as there is an attitude of exploitation, then it will only bring us misery. But then under Yudhishthir Maharaj's rule, everybody was cooperating. Man and God, man and nature, everybody was cooperating very, very nicely. So under Yudhishthir Maharaj's kingdom, there was peace and prosperity. So all this we are seeing what happened when Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling. Okay. But actually, which question are we answering? We have to answer the question about the birth of Parikshit, right? We saw 3 questions after the 6 questions by the sages of Naimisharanya. When we tried to answer, when Bhagavatam was trying to answer the question about Parikshit Maharaj, first the act of the son of Drona was discussed, that Ashwatthama, he hit a weapon and all that. Then suddenly so many diversions, right? He hit a weapon, then Kunti came and spoke, then Bhishma spoke, and now we are talking about the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So it appears that we are diverting a lot in Srimad Bhagavatam. But remember, Bhagavatam is spoken by Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, and it was again re-spoken by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. And these people are great personalities. They are not going to forget the flow. So they will come back, they will come to the point of the birth of Parikshit. But to come to that point of the birth of Parikshit, they have to tell all the story that was happening in the background, right? What was happening with the grandfather of Parikshit? How did he rule? Then how did he retire? Then what happened? How was Parikshit born? Then how did he take the throne? So to come to that, he has to give so much background. So he is still giving the background of the forefathers of Parikshit, how they were ruling. Because unless he gives this background, he cannot tell you later how Parikshit ruled. Because Parikshit was following in the footsteps of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Okay, so everything has a connection in Bhagavatam. So all these chapters, they have a lovely flow. So let's see. Because after he talks about Yudhishthira Maharaj's role, he'll tell about how Krishna departed to Dwarka. Then he'll tell about how Krishna entered Dwarka. So he'll go step by step, but he'll come back to the point. He'll not forget the flow. Okay. So let's see. Let's continue about Yudhishthira Maharaj's role. उषित्वा हस्तिनापुरे मासान् कट्टिपयान् हरिः सुहृदं च विशोकाय स्वशुश्च प्रियकामया. But this Krishna, he resided in this Hastinapur that was ruled by Maharaj Yudhishthir for a few months. He resided there. He didn't leave yet. Why he didn't leave yet? Because everybody asked him to stay back. So he didn't leave yet. He has to go to Dwaraka, but he has not gone yet. He has stayed there. Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling very nicely, and he continued to stay there for a few months. Why did he stay there? Because he wanted to pacify his relatives, especially his own sister, Swasuhu. He wanted to pacify his dear sister Subhadra, who was there. What is there to pacify Subhadra? Any thoughts?
He lost her son.
Lost the son, and the daughter-in-law.
Also, about the grandson was, there was a lot of pressure on
Yes.
Parikshit also. She has to go through the trauma that she might lose her grandson also after losing the son, and that kind of a stress was too much for her, perhaps, Mataji.
Yes, beautiful. Yes, that is right. And that's what Prabhupada says. That's what the commentators say. So Lord Sri Hari, Lord Krishna, he resided in Hastinapur with his dear cousins and relatives. He wanted to please them, and especially he wanted to please Subhadra. The Lord decided to say, especially to pacify the aggrieved king as well as to please Subhadra, the sister of Lord Sri Krishna. Subhadra was especially to be pacified because she had lost her only son, Abhimanyu, who was just married. The boy left his wife Uttara, the mother of Parikshit. The Lord is always pleased to satisfy his devotees in any capacity. Only his devotees can play the parts of his relatives. The Lord is the absolute. So nice. So whenever the Lord comes, his associates come, and they are all his relatives. So many associates of the Lord, they descend in families where the Lord takes birth. So these are all eternal associates of the Lord. For the sake of them, the Lord stayed back. Okay. So like this, Krishna was stopped multiple times, but then he decided to stay back for a few months before he left. So let's go to verse number 8. आमन्त्र्य चाप्यनुज्ञात परिष्वज्याभिवाद्य तम् आरोह रथं कश्चित् परिष्वक्तो अभिवादित. Anyone? Translation?
Hare Krishna. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaj Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. So he offered respects to Maharaj Yudhishthir. He fell at Maharaj Yudhishthir's feet. Why does he have to fall at Maharaj Yudhishthir's feet?
His elder brother.
Elder
His
brother.
cousin brother.
Yeah. And then the next part of the verse says, and the Lord embraced others. Whom do you think he would have embraced?
Arjuna and Bhima.
Yeah.
Arjuna and Bhima, because they're of similar age group. Okay. And then he received obeisances from whom?
Nakul Sahadev.
Nakul and Sahadev.
Nakul Sahadev. Very nice. Yes, Nakul Sahadev, because they are younger. So nice, right? So depending on the relationship, he appropriately had gestures with each one of them. So with Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was the elder cousin of Sri Krishna. So while departing, the Lord bowed down at the king's feet. But then Yudhishthir Maharaj, he knows that this is Krishna, he's the supreme personality of God. So he embraces him. He doesn't bless him. He embraces him. And he knows there is no one equal to or greater than the Lord. So this is he goes and he embraces him. Bhima and Arjun, they embraced the Lord. The Lord also embraced them because they were very good friends and they were of the same age. But Nakul and Sahadev, they bowed down in front of the Lord because they were younger than him. Okay, so basically the Lord takes pleasure with all his devotees. Some people like Yashoda Maya, she can chastise the Lord, and the Lord takes so much pleasure in that. Some people can even fall at the Lord's feet, and that also gives pleasure to the Lord, like when Nakul and Sahadev fall at the feet of the Lord. So, but he loves all his devotees. That is the point. He takes pleasure being treated as a younger brother. He takes pleasure as being treated as the elder brother. He takes pleasure as being treated as the father. He takes pleasure as being treated as the son. So he sees only this love and affection from his devotees. So depending on the type of relationship he had, he reciprocated accordingly. Ye yata mam prapatyante tam stataiva bhajamyam. So depending on the relationship, he was reciprocating. Now, who are the others? Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Viratattanaya, Tata, Gandhari, Dhritarashtrascha, Yuyutsur, Gautamo, Yamo, Vrikodaras, Dhaumyascha, Striyo, Matsya, Sutadayah, Na Sehire Vimuhyanto, Viraham, Sharngadhanvaha. Translation, anybody?
At the time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yutsu, Krupacharya, Nakula, Sahadeva, Bhimasena, Dhaumya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to be a separation from Lord Krishna.
Haribol. Imagine Krishna's leaving them and going. That Krishna was in person with them. So it was so difficult for them to leave Krishna. Of course, Subhadra is mentioned first. There was also Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara was there, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu was alive. Why was Yuyutsu alive at this point? Yuyutsu was one of the sons of Dhritarashtra, right?
He was, I think, son from other queen of.
Yes. Correct. Yes, Prabhuji. He was the son of the other wife, the Dasi of Gandhari, son of Dhritarashtra. And also, he was actually alive because during the war, he stuck to the side of the Pandavas. He moved sides, Yuyutsu. So he was still there. Kripacharya, of course, you all know who Kripacharya was. Nakula Sahadev, Bhimsen, Dhaumya, he was also one of the...
Mataji, please tell about Yuyutsu, Mataji. We didn't get it right.
Oh, Yuyutsu switched sides during the time of the war.
Oh.
Mm.
He went to Pandava's side.
Yes, he went to the Pandavas side. And he was born not to Gandhari, but he was born to a Dasi of Dhritarashtra. Yeah.
So he was not with Kauravas, Mataji?
He should have been with the Kauravas, but then he switched sides in the last minute.
Oh.
When before the war, there is an announcement made. Whoever wants to go to that party can go. Whoever wants to come to this party can go. There's an open...
Migration was available.
Migration, yes. Last minute migrations.
Last minute migrations.
Yes. yes. And then Dhaumya and Kripa, both of them were the Kulagurus who were present with the Pandavas. Satyavati, she is the one who's mentioned here as Matsya Sutta, right? There was a word, Matsya Sutta, yeah. So Matsya Sutta here means, actually it means Satyavati only. But Chakravarti Pad says that Matsya Sutta can also mean Uttara again. Why? Because she was, this Virata Desh was also called as Matsya Desh. So she was a princess of that place. So Chakravarti Pad says either you can take this Matsya Sutta as Satyavati, or you can take it as the same Virata Sutta being mentioned as Matsya Sutta twice. Why? Because out of extreme emotions of the speaker, oh, Krishna is leaving, right? It's a big thing, Krishna is leaving. So, out of extreme agony, this Sutta Goswami has said it twice about Matsya Sutta. Well, like that, he takes a spin on it. But we can see that since Virata Kanya was mentioned, what do you call her? Virata Sutta, or what do we call her here? Virat Tanya, yeah. Virata Tanaya, we call her Virata Tanaya. So here Matsya Sutta should obviously mean Satyavati is the logical understanding. Okay, that is a more Rasik way of thinking because of extreme agony that the Lord is leaving. So now the Lord is leaving all of them, and it was very impossible for them to bear the separation. Lord Krishna is Krishna. Krishna means the most attractive, right? He's the most attractive, and he's the most attractive to everybody, especially not just to human beings, to everybody. And especially he's the most attractive to his devotees. So it is very difficult for them to tolerate separation from him. We, under the spell of illusory energy, we are also separated from him. But we are so conditioned that we have forgotten the Lord. We are separated from him, but we are not feeling this intense agony like how they are feeling because we are under the spell of illusory energy. Okay. So this feeling of separation is very difficult to describe. And the
We have
person,
not seen Krishna, Mataji.
I
We
know.
never got an opportunity to see Krishna. Perhaps if we have that opportunity, we'll also feel the same way. Mataji.
Yeah.
Mm.
But in our conditioned state, we don't even desire, it's
Yeah,
like,
so much.
that is true. And here Prabhupada gives the classic example of the cowherd girls of Vrindavan. They felt that great agony, especially Srimati Radharani. If this agony is so intense, if Shubhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, their agony is heavy, then imagine how intense the separation would have been felt by Srimati Radharani and the cowherd girls. And Prabhupada recounts this beautiful story of how they once met in Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feelings that they had was heartrending, horrible. It was like so much. And that's the birth of the Rath Yatra. They trying to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan. So the transcendental devotees of the Lord, they are very advanced. Of course, we are nobody in front of them. They cannot live without the Lord even for a moment. That is the attitude of a pure devotee. So we can imagine, you can get a glimpse of what they could have possibly felt, all these devotees. But of course, the highest is exhibited by Srimati Radharani and the cowherd girls of Vrindavan. So I was aiming to do till 10, but we'll do one more. It's okay. We have 10, 15 minutes. So we'll just do one more. Okay. And this verse, let's see. We'll just do this. Satsangan mukta dushsango hatum notsahe buddha kirtyamanam yasho yasha sakrit akarnya rochanam tasminyasta dhiya partha sahiram viharam khatam dharshana sparsha samlapa shayanasana bhojanai. Anybody would like to read translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become free from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. This is so nice, right? Padmini Mataji was just telling us that we have not seen Krishna. But here, the verse is telling just by hearing about Krishna, without Krishna, without Harikatha, you feel so much separation. Just hearing about Krishna. Huh? Uh, uh, the intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees have become freed from bad materialistic association, can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. Just by not hearing about Krishna, actually, it brings so much agony. Just imagine you're not hearing Harikatha at all, or you're not reading Srila Prabhupada's books for 1 month. How will you feel? Forget 1 month, 2 days, how will you feel? That separation will be there. You just hearing him once. You're just hearing him once, you'll be so attracted to him. You will want to hear more, or you will want to read about him, or you would want to see Krishna in something, right? It is natural for we conditioned souls. Then how then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with him in person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, sleeping, sitting, dining with him. Prahladananda Prabhu, I think there is one more verse like this, right? That talks about, I think maybe in the 7th canto.
There is one in the 12th canto, Mataji.
Please tell us,
It
Prabhu.
says, Sarva Vedanta Saram hi Sri Bhagavatam Ishyate Tad Rasamrutruptasya Nanyatra Shadrati Kvachit. One who hears Bhagavatam, he loses all other interest, that's glorification of Bhagavatam, which is Lord Krishna's katha, So that came to my mind.
Very well, thank you. And also about this interaction between the Pandavas and Krishna, how they had these beautiful relationships. There are so many verses, right, Prabhu, like this. Yeah. So basically, these were the different interactions that the Pandavas had. They had such intimate relationships with Krishna. How much pain they would have felt. So it is something you can try to fathom. It's very difficult, but we can only get a glimpse of that pain that they were feeling. So, Prabhupada talks about our situation here in this material world. We have this constitutional position of being the servant of the Lord. But then what are we doing? We are following the dictates of our senses. We are enjoying sense gratification and we are continuing to serve our senses, and we are never tired serving our senses. So, but however, if we want to stop the sense gratificatory process, then we should associate with pure devotees. That is how we start Krishna consciousness. When we take association of pure devotees, that is when we can get promoted to transcendental consciousness. So, in this material society, we are constantly tormented by lust, greed, anger, all of this. And we are thinking in terms of I and mine, my home, my country, my family, my society, all this. And what is happening as a result of all this? There is bondage in this material world, and we cannot escape the threefold miseries of the world. But however, we should start somewhere. How do we start? How do we get out of this entanglement? It is possible when we begin to associate with pure devotees. And taking association of pure devotees means what? You should start hearing submissively. When we start hearing submissively, the attachment for material enjoyment becomes loose, it becomes slackened. And then the attraction for hearing about Krishna and his transcendental activities becomes prominent. So, like this, slowly it will increase. The attraction for Krishna will increase. Like this, it will go on progressively. Our attraction for Krishna without stoppage. It will increase progressively like fire in gunpowder. Not the gunpowder that you eat with idli. It is rather fire in gunpowder, the real gunpowder. So like this, our attraction to Krishna will increase more and more. It is said that Hari, the personality of God, it is so attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization are liberated from all material bondage. They also become devotees of the Lord. Which verse is this? I'll read again. It is said that Hari, the personality of Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization are factually liberated from all material bondage and also become devotees of the Lord.
Atmaram. Atmaram
Yes.
Chamani.
Haribol. So even Atmarams, they become so attracted to the Lord. So now we can understand the position of the Pandavas. They were constant companions of the Lord. They cannot even think of separation of Krishna, and now Krishna was supposed to leave them. So they were in so much pain. So this is what their condition was. They had continuous personal contact with him. They were pure devotees. And his remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc. is also attractive for the pure devotee. So much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to the mature association of devotees, he is out of the contact of the Lord even for a moment. Let's do that again. This last sentence I want to read again. They could not think of separation from Sri Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc. is also attractive for the pure devotee, so much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is out of the contact. He is not out of the contact with the Lord even for a moment. So this is our condition. In this world, what should we keep in touch with? The Pandavas were personally in touch with the Lord. But then what is our hope? We have to keep in touch of his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes. That means we should chant, we should hear. So as we chant and hear, Krishna becomes very, very attractive to us, and eventually we forget all forms, quality, name, fame, activities of this mundane world, and we remember only Krishna. And as we take more and more devotee association and think about Krishna more and more, you can never be out of contact of the Supreme Lord. We can also become like these devotees. So hope is there for us also that we can also become like the Pandavas. Only thing is
Nitya
we have to
Bhagavata
continue.
Sevaya, Mataji. Nitya
Yes,
Bhagavata
Nityam
Sevaya.
Bhagavata Sevaya. Hari Bol. With that, we will end today. Okay, yes, Praladananda Prabhu, please.
Also, Mataji, Bhagavan Krishna has told Narad very emphatically, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta Tattva Narad. So, in all our satsang, he is always there, And Bhagavatam, each slok is Bhagavan Krishna himself. So, when we are discussing Bhagavatam, 100% he is with us. That we should be convinced, Very nice. Thank you, Mata.
Hari Bol, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. So, Thursday, we'll continue from verse number 13. It's beautiful. The separation that they are all going to feel is very beautiful. And then Krishna, he proceeds to Dwarka. And then we'll also hear about the beautiful prayers of the ladies of Hastinapur. That's a very beautiful section. So that is another thing we are going to hear. We just heard the prayers of a great Mataji, Kunti Devi. So we'll hear more prayers of Matajis in this chapter. Okay. Anything else anyone has? Okay. We can end here. We'll continue from verse 30. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shravand ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavat ki jai. Hari Hari.
Grace Preeti Vilasni Mataji ki jai. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Jai Prabhupada. Hari Hari. Thank you, dear devotees.
Hari
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 Krishna
Hari.
Mataji. Thank you.
Hari.